Hey everybody, and thanks for joining us for another installment of Pancrase, Legends of Mixed Martial Arts. I'm your host, Rob Wu, and sitting alongside me, as always, our fight insider, and he's the current King of Pancrase champion, Josh Barnett. Now, Josh, I know you always say you're happy to be here, but are you really?
No, it's all a facade.
All right, well, let's get past that facade and get into our fight. Our first matchup, Satoru Kitaoka versus Hiroki Nagaoka, and Josh, we haven't seen either of these fighters previously. What do these guys bring to the table?
Well, besides a couple of last names that are fairly hard to pronounce for most folks, Kitaoka is actually a fairly accomplished grappler, though this is somewhat early on in his career. Kitaoka earlier this year actually went on a whole streak of defeating highly accomplished Brazilian grapplers within the Pancrase system. But at this point, this is really sort of an introduction for us to Kitaoka, and also somewhat more of an introduction to the closed fist, more full MMA rules that Pancrase would adopt later on.
All right, let's see how he fares.
Satoru Kitaoka versus Hiroki Nagaoka.
And Kitaoka, Josh, has, in his time in Pancrase, has sort of developed a cult following.
Yeah, in fact, Kitaoka has really become one of the top stars of Pancrase currently, and this will be interesting to see his some of his earlier work here.
Early on, the fighters in a clinch, and I noticed, Josh, in the later fights in Pancrase, the referees aren't so quick to break the fighters up away from the ropes.
Yeah, they do. They allow the fighters to work a little longer up against the ropes and close, as rope escapes were no longer an issue.
Kitaoka comes into this match with a 2-3-1 record. Nagaoka at 3-1, so both fighters haven't had that much ring experience just yet.
Kitaoka here looking to really take this fight to the ground. He's been exchanging a few punches with Nagaoka, but really his strength, I think, is going to be getting on top, maybe looking for some ground and pound and working for one of the submissions, actually the front choke being one of his favorites, as well as leg locks.
And Kitaoka is in the black trunks, Nagaoka in the white. The fighter's still in a clinch, and as you can see, in the early days of Pancrase, the referee probably would have already stepped up to break the fight, but nowadays, in 2001, the referee let the fighters actually fight it out. As we see Kitaoka in the corner, both fighters still in the clinch.
And not a lot of action here right now. More of a stalemate as we move further along in the match, finding him still in the clinch with Kitaoka trying to work some knees to the midsection.
Now, Josh, how long do the fighters have to be in that position for the referee to actually stop in and break them apart?
That's really up to the referee's discretion. Personally, I would have broken them up quite a while ago, but really, both the real shame about this is one of the two of the fighters should really try to take advantage of keeping their opponent pressed into the corner like this. If I was Nagaoka, I'd drop in, maybe try and suck up Kitaoka's legs and get the double leg takedown as they break out of the corner, and Kitaoka fires a few punches to get some space from his opponent. Stopping the takedown is Kitaoka, and back to the clinch they go.
And away and again towards the rope. The fighters in the clinch. Nagaoka trying to throw some punches to the face.
Kitaoka lands a right knee to the midsection against Nagaoka, and under attack, but ending back in the clinch is Kitaoka with his back to the corner. Not much time left in the round, and Kitaoka really is going to should spin his opponent so that Nagaoka is now in the corner, and therefore he could work a takedown with the use of the corner and the ropes to his advantage as they battle it out here in the clinch.
And both fighters getting some good shots and a knee by Nagaoka as the round comes to an end. And Josh, were you surprised at all that Kitaoka didn't really try or wasn't successful in taking this fight to the ground?
Actually, I was surprised that Kitaoka didn't make more of an effort to take the fight to the ground, but he did land some good strikes at the end there in that last exchange, and a nice knee to the head.
And this fight will go to the judges, who decide this will result in a...
That's one for Kitaoka, one draw.
Another draw, Nagaoka And Kitaoka looks like this match will be a tie. Kitaoka not too satisfied with the results, it seems.
It seems like he felt he got the better of the exchanges and perhaps maybe controlled most of this match. But really, if he wanted to really secure a win, he should have made more of an effort to get this fight to the ground and finish off his opponent. But we'll have to cut him some slack for being the youngster that he is at this point in his career.
In our next fight, we're going to see two more fighters that we haven't seen before. It's Chris Lights Out Lytle versus Kazuo Misaki. And Josh, what are these two fighters all about?
Lytle is actually a student of Jason Godsey's and from the Integrated Fighting Academy in Indianapolis, Indiana. Lytle will go on to appear on the Ultimate Fighter TV show and make his way into the Ultimate Fighting Championships, where he's had some bouts of success. But here he is early on in his career fighting against some of the strong fighters of Pancrase. And here we have Misaki, who would go on to become the Pride Middleweight Grand Prix champion.
And at this point, Misaki undefeated. Let's see if he can keep that perfect record intact.
Kazuo Misaki versus Chris Lytle.
As Lytle charging forward with some 1-2s and following up with a middle kick to the body against Misaki.
And so far, Lytle taking it straight to the undefeated Misaki, but now Misaki has the guillotine on Lytle.
Nice front choke attempt by Misaki, really trying to set his hips in there and lock that in. Lytle smartly not allowing Misaki to set his weight down, as Misaki will have to settle for trying to get the clinch on the ground and pass Lytle's guard.
As we move on in the fight, and if this fight is on the ground, Josh, do you give Misaki the advantage?
Yes, I do, although Lytle is looking to prove me wrong with a nice triangle choke attempt and a power bomb by Misaki, escaping.
Just picked up Lytle and slammed him down on the ground. Now, in the old days of Pancrase, Lytle would get up, but nowadays you are allowed to hit your opponent while he is down, so Lytle has to pick the smart time to get up.
Exchanging kicks, Misaki looking for an opportunity to either get in and pass that guard or chop away at the legs of Lytle as he's on his back.
Now, you use the word pass, Josh. What does that actually mean?
That just is a term to basically escape the legs or get around them, so that getting clear to your opponent and getting a position where you don't have to deal with his legs wrapped around your body.
And Lytle does get up, and now both fighters are up on their feet.
Exchanging kicks.
Misaki starting to move in on Lytle, perhaps trying to get offensive.
And next thing you know, they'll start cursing at him. Nice hip toss by Misaki.
And now Lytle reverses, and now Lytle in the full guard position.
Reversal of sorts with Misaki now having to work off of his back.
And Lytle throwing some body punches at Misaki. Might not knock him out, but could take its toll throughout the course of this fight.
Misaki locking up getting double underhooks, looking for a crucifix type submission as we go further on in the match. Misaki still on his back working against Lytle as Lytle attempts to stay busy inside the guard of Misaki.
And even though his name is Lights Out Lytle, Chris Lytle does know how to work on the ground.
Yeah, he is quite the submission repertoire and really has, I believe the majority of his wins are actually by submission.
Right. Lytle continuing throwing those right body shots.
Misaki with that underhook looking to reverse position, getting one of his hooks inside and elevating Lytle, but unsuccessful in toppling Lytle off balance and getting on top.
So, Josh, what does Misaki have to do to get Lytle off him?
Well, he's got two choices. One is to go to a submission and either work for the finish or use Lytle's escape to try and open himself up into a reversal or to go for a different submission, chain them together. Or, more commonly, what he'll probably try and do is get his legs inside and try to elevate Lytle's hips up. And once his weight is up in the air, then Misaki will try and off-balance him and put him on his back and exchange positions.
And so far, Lytle doing a great job keeping Misaki where he is and still throwing those body shots.
Yeah, Lytle really sort of pressing inside Misaki's guard to stay tight to his body and continue to chip away with those short punches. Misaki not getting any space to work hardly.
And it looks like Misaki's 5-0 record could be in danger right now. Misaki unable to even get on his feet, and although he looks like he has the arm of Lytle.
Nice double wrist lock attempt by Misaki. Can he finish?
And Lytle slips out of it.
Taking the back now is Lytle against Misaki. Nice attempt by Misaki, but unfortunately unable to capitalize.
And the round is over. So this will once again go to the judges.
We got a glimpse of Alex Stiebling in Lytle's corner. 16-man Brazilian heavyweight tournament champion is Stiebling.
That's a good man to have in your corner, Josh. And the judges give this fight to Chris Lytle. And Josh, I have to say, I agree with that. He had Misaki down on the mat for most of the match, delivered the body shots, and Misaki just didn't really cause much damage to Lytle. Had his arm for a second, but Lytle slipped away.
Right, there was just so much control on the part of Lytle and good opportunities taken by Lytle on the feet to score well also. So even with the submission attempt towards the end there and the power bomb, it's really sort of difficult to look and give this fight in any favor to Misaki.
And a huge boost of confidence to Chris Lytle. Not sure if he needs it, but it is a huge boost. Misaki was undefeated, so Chris Lytle took out a pretty credible opponent.
Yeah, way to move up for Lytle.
All right, we have to take a quick break, but when we come back, the wrestler they call the Punk enters the ring. Welcome back to the show, and now we're going to see Ikuhisa Minoa in action. And Josh, Minoa considers himself more of a pro wrestler than a real fighter.
Yes, as well as being called the Punk, Minoa has also referred to himself many times as the real pro wrestler. And I've got an opportunity to work out and train with Minoa a little bit, and he believes exactly like he tells it. And he goes out there not only just to fight and to look for the finish, but to give an incredible performance and show the charisma and heart of pro wrestling as well.
And he's going to take on Hiroshi Shibata. Let's see how Minoa does.
Ikuhisa Minoa versus Hiroshi Shibata.
Shibata in the singlet, maybe lending some credence to having an amateur wrestling background.
And Minoa in the red trunks as we kick off this fight.
Shibata the southpaw.
As we see Minoa delivering strikes, Minoa doesn't have a lot of KOs. Most of his wins come from a submission, so
nice.
This fight on the ground.
Nice double wrist lock by Minoa, standing. Shibata's shoulder and elbow in a lot of danger there. Minoa missing with that big high kick initially. Now all over Shibata, trying to transition from the double wrist lock to the cross arm scissor there.
And as we move on to the fight, Shibata so far, Josh, looks to have his hands full.
Yeah, Shibata is, as I like to call, getting worked right now. Using some strength to pull out of that, but...
Shibata in a favorable position right now on his feet, but Minoa does get up.
Gotta wonder if Shibata's arm has incurred some damage from those submissions as Minoa charging forward and delivering punches as he gets inside, kneeing to the face of Shibata from that underhook.
And those knees are causing major damage, and Shibata is bleeding heavily.
Shibata stuck in that underhook position against Minoa as Minoa lands knee after knee to the face of Shibata.
And he's probably looking for more knees here, as we see he is. And Shibata going for the takedown, but so far unable to do so. And look at all that blood over Shibata. I think the referees are going to have to get his cut checked out.
Minoa really taking it to this guy and failed Harai Goshi hip toss by Shibata.
And the referee calls it. Minoa is your winner, 228 in the first round, a TKO. Right here, Josh, on the replay. those knees opened up a nasty cut on the head of Shibata.
And Shibata really seemed at a loss at how to deal with this situation, getting struck like that. And Umeki raises Minowa's hands in victory.
As we see, perhaps the inexperience of Shibata hurt him there. Just couldn't defend himself from those knees.
Well, Minowa is quite the fighter. Regardless of some of the losses that he's incurred over his career, the guy really brings it. He comes at you like a whirlwind, and I've seen him do some pretty amazing things in the ring and really chew some guys up and spit them out. So going in inexperienced against a guy like Ikuisa Minowa can be a very dangerous endeavor.
In our next fight, we're going to see Sane Kikuta versus Daisuke Wantanabe, two more fighters that we haven't seen in the show. What makes these two fighters stand out, Josh?
Well, Kikuta actually would go on to become the only Japanese Abu Dhabi Submission Wrestling Championship champion, which is a collection of some of the best submission wrestlers and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artists from around the world gather under this tournament as organized by the Prince of Abu Dhabi. He's a huge fan of the sport. And they battle it out, and oftentimes the winner of this grappling competition is really considered the best in the world.
All right, and let's see how these two fighters fare against each other.
Sane Kikuta versus Daisuke Watanabe.
A flying knee by Kikuta. Watanabe, excuse me. And Kikuta goes on the ground, and we're seeing a little ground and pound action here, Josh, and we didn't see this in the early days of Pancrase.
No, Watanabe nailed him with that flying knee, following it up with ground and pound, punching is Watanabe looking to finish this fight. Kikuta in serious trouble as Watanabe looked to land the soccer kick to the head and legs of Kikuta as charging forward, landing more punches.
Kikuta was trying to throw those legs to prevent Watanabe from getting to him, but not successful, as we see.
Kikuta now trying to lock up the arm and head of Watanabe, get that guard going and give himself some defense. As further along in the match here, it looks like Kikuta has managed to reverse the position. Now working from on top is Kikuta, a much favorable position than from getting soccer kick from above.
And Kikuta did go on to become the light heavyweight champion in 2001. Also has experience in the Pride.
Locking up a side choke is Kikuta here. Watanabe, gotta know he's in trouble.
And he does look like he has that side choke locked in, Josh.
There are no rope escapes at this point, so Watanabe is gonna have to find some other way to escape.
And I'm not sure if he can find that way, and he is tapping out, and this fight is over. Kikuta, a resounding victory, 2-14 into the first round, and Watanabe just got dominated right off the bat with that flying knee to start, and now he gets submitted.
Well, Kikuta really fortunate to be able to weather that initial storm from Watanabe, that getting knocked down with that knee and getting followed up with all those punches and kicks, but must have had an angel on his shoulder today as he was able to come out relatively unscathed, probably with just a headache, and snatch the victory from the jaws of defeat.
And Daisuke Watanabe's record drops to 8-18-2, while Kikuta improves to 19-4-2. As we take a look at the replay, Josh, that knee right off the bat, Kikuta sending a message to Watanabe.
Yes, Watanabe, and with coming in as a sure underdog, was really thinking that this would be his opportunity to upset one of the top guys in Pancrase at the time. But just wasn't going to be his day, as Kikuta showed exactly why he had such an illustrious record and would go on to become a king of Pancrase in one of the Pancrase weight class divisions.
Now, I want to ask you, Josh, if you want to improve yourself as a fighter, do you fight people your own skill level, or do you fight someone who's a lot better than you?
Both. You really have to get a varied look, and sometimes it's about styles. Sometimes there are certain fighters that against, like, let's say a certain type of striker, a certain type of grappler, they're just really unable to find the key to that, to unlocking that puzzle, whereas they may defeat pretty much everybody else that they come across. So a guy that could be 1-4 might be the absolute bane for a guy that's 30-0.
All right, and Yuki Kondo is still in Pancrase, and we'll see him in action right after the break. Welcome back, and now we're going to see Yuki Kondo in action, a fighter that, Josh, you are very familiar with.
Kondo, a real staple of the Pancrase system, and one of the kings of Pancrase as well, the actual open weight king of Pancrase, and would go on to fight for and win the light heavyweight king of Pancrase at one point. This actually is the culmination of a series of matches between Grabaka Pancrase and Pancraseism, the original Pancrase dojo. Grabaka brought some fighters over and were then initiated and brought into the Pancrase system and created sort of a rivalry between the Grabaka dojo, led by Sane Kikuta, and Pancraseism, as coached by Minoru Suzuki and Masakatsu Funaki. This being the final match between the two of them, with Grabaka taking the first two, as we saw with Kikuta going over Daisuke Watanabe and Sasaki snatching that victory away from Shibuya. It's all but sewn up, but don't tell Yuki Kondo that. He's not fighting for a team necessarily as well as much as he's fighting for himself.
Yeah, one win for each side. Let's see how the tiebreaker works out.
Akihiro Gono versus Yuki Kondo.
As we see Yuki Kondo there being introduced, and now Akihiro Gono in the blue trunks. And Josh, he's known for his clever and deceptive fighting style.
Yeah, he is. He comes from a sambo and karate background, fighting for many years within the Shuto organization, a rival organization to Pancrase in the MMA world in Japan, but also competing in some of the earlier events in Japanese MMA, like the Lumax Tournament of J, where all the competitors had to wear a jacket, like from judo or jiu-jitsu.
And Yuki Kondo has had a lot of fights so far. 31, 11, and 3 is his record, and he's just 26 years old, Josh.
Well, both of these guys are very dynamic strikers. Gono would actually go on to really develop his boxing ability, and also known as a bit of a antagonist in the Japanese MMA scene is Gono. A lot of heat between these two fighters.
Both fighters in the blue trunks, but Gono is the fighter with less hair on his head.
And the white trim.
Yuki Kondo had the single leg. Now the both fighters in the clinch. As we move ahead in the fight.
Kondo with the body lock, takedown on Gono, and landing in the half guard and firing some left hooks to the head of Akihiro Gono.
And it looks like Yuki Kondo is adjusting to the new rules, Josh. A little bit of a ground and pounding, which we didn't see in his early days of Pancrase.
Right. Kondo, one of the more prolific strikers of the Pancrase Dream system and of all the Pancrase fighters in general.
Kondo still in the half guard, working on Gono.
Picking away and constantly chipping shots in against Gono's face is Kondo with that left hand there. I believe both fighters being southpaws, their left hand being the strongest. Kondo sitting up, landing a right cross inside the guard, working to get a better position to punch from.
And if you're Gono, how do you defend yourself from this, Josh?
Gono's got to control Kondo's hands, and he's got to start moving. He's got to do something to get out of there. Push him away with his legs, bring his head inside closer as he's eating punch after punch from Kondo.
And I don't know if Gono's sitting there just waiting for the bell, but against Yuki Kondo, you can't afford to do that.
Kondo accurately hitting the same spot over and over again opens up a small cut on the left side of Gono's face there, right in the eyebrow region.
And more blows to the face by Kondo. Gono so far getting beaten.
Yeah, Kondo just stifling Gono on top and owning the position and constantly firing punch after punch after punch and never letting Gono get a chance to reverse or get any movement off bottom.
And Gono perhaps a little fatigued from taking that beating. As we see, he has a little cut on the left side of his face.
Kondo dropping the forearm across the throat, positioning and throwing a short little right cross to the chin of Gono. Right, left. More ground and pound from Kondo versus Gono.
And in the old days of Pancrase, the referee might have broke this because the fighters are near the ropes, but in 2001, the referee's trying to let the action dictate itself more.
Right, no rope escapes now to interfere with them being so close to the ropes, and also no rope escapes to get you back to out of this bad position and back to your feet as Gono finally getting some movement off the bottom and looking to try and take Kondo down as Kondo's leg lands outside the ring through the rope. Kondo chipping in punches underneath the armpit of Gono, getting in against the face and cheek there.
Gono trying to protect his face with his arm, but so far Kondo finding a way in.
Shot after shot lands against Gono as he is stuck underneath Kondo there, not moving.
And finally, Gono back on his feet, but Yuki Kondo relentless in his attacks, Josh.
And Kondo really keeping the pressure up on Gono. Gono shooting in for the tackle, but no can do as Kondo shuts him down, puts him back into half guard, and continuing his ground and pound attack against Gono.
Now, Gono is known as the Magic Man, but I hope his corner has some pixie dust because he is just getting beaten out there.
Pixie dust? This guy's going to have to pull something out of a hat because nothing going right for him in this fight.
And if you're Gono, what should your corner be telling you right now?
That we're going to throw the rabbit in at any time and he's going to help you from getting the crap kicked out of you right now?
The magic wand not present in the fight so far for Gono.
Okay, that's enough magic references.
Okay. And back to the fight, Kondo still on top, has side control right now.
Yeah, this is, it's just nothing is going right for Gono. And regardless, I mean, he's getting hit with a lot of punches. He's being dealt damage. He's getting tired. But his mind, you know, his will, his fight is just leaching out of him as he is unable to mount any offense and change any direction of this match. That could be almost more damaging than actually the strikes being landed by Kondo.
And looks like the glove needs to be adjusted on Gono's right hand. Not sure if that's going to make much of a difference, though.
Probably a finger slipping out of one of the finger loops. But like you said, this fight, it just seems as if this is completely Yuki Kondo's night. And last 20 seconds as Kondo continues his ground and pound attack. Knee to the body by Kondo and more punches.
Finding a little separation from the fighters. Gono throws a leg, but he is still down on his back. Kondo still looking to come in. Misses the kick.
Back spin kick by Kondo to the grounded Gono.
Might have missed it, but a flashy attempt as we move ahead in the third round now.
Kondo coming straight out at Gono.
And Gono back on his feet, but I don't know for how much longer. It looks like Kondo has him down again, Josh.
Nice knee to the face of Gono, putting Kondo on top again.
And Kondo picking up right where he left off in round 2, has Gono mounted and still hitting him anywhere he goes.
Gono rolling this way, that way, doing anything he can to try and get away, and Kondo just riding him like a surfboard and hitting him from every angle. Gono getting no respite from this attack by Yuki Kondo as Kondo continues to pound away.
And Gono he's trying to protect the back of his head, but Kondo, and there we see it, Gono's corner, no pixie dust, no magic wand, throws in the towel. This fight is over in the third round, a TKO win for Yuki Kondo, and Gono suffered a whole lot of punishment in that ring.
That was, as Gono would refer to it later on, prior to a rematch between the two of them in the Pride Fighting Organization. Kondo completely dominated that fight. He completely defeated every aspect of the match against Gono there. And surprisingly, they would meet again in Pride, as I said. And although I felt actually Kondo won that fight as well, it was a much closer affair with Gono taking a split decision.
Yuki Kondo, definitely a force to be reckoned with. All right, let's move on to our next match. It's Kyuma Kunioku. I got it right this time,
Yes,
Josh.
you did.
Against Nathan Marquardt. Now, Josh, you know both of these fighters very well.
Yeah, Marquardt actually started off within the some of the 10-minute, one-round matches within Pancrase. Moved up through the system and would become, I believe, a weight class, a 2-weight class champion within the King of Pancrase system here, owning 2 of the belts and having quite the series of matches with Kunioku and another fighter by the name of, from Grabaka by the name of, well, it escapes me at this point. We're not going to watch him right now, but if I can remember it, I'll let you know.
We have to take a quick commercial break, but don't go away. Kyuma Kunioku is in action, and we'll see if he's still wearing hot pink. Welcome back, and now we're going to see Kyuma Kunioku, I got it right this time, Josh,
Gold star.
taking on Nathan Marquardt, and a lot at stake, the middleweight title.
Yes, and in fact, this would be one of many of the meetings between Kunioku and Marquardt, sort of developing a bit of a rivalry. Marquardt also developing a rivalry with other Grabaka fighter, Izuru Takuichi. So Marquardt with his hands full and enough people trying to take him down to make it worth his while and to fight within Pancrase. Not also happening to be a difficult thing for Marquardt, as he would own the middleweight and I believe a welterweight King of Pancrase title at the same time, all a sort of a result of his matches between Kunioku and Takuichi.
And Kunioku used to wear the hot pink back in the old days of Pancrase. Let's see if he's still got that on.
Kyuma Kunioku versus Nathan Marquardt.
Kunioku there in the light blue and white, Marquardt in the royal blue and black, kickskin trunks.
Marquardt, a great MMA record thus far, 13-2-1. Kunioku has fought tons of battles, 21, 14, and 7 draws.
Yeah, some of those battles actually with Nathan, as we see here.
Kunioku following Marquardt around the ring. Misses the left kick, and Marquardt comes back with a right low kick.
Both of these guys really feeling each other out a bit.
And
1-2 by Marquardt.
Caught Kunioku on the face a little bit.
Lead right hand, front kick by Marquardt.
Kunioku training BJJ, boxing, and wrestling. And Nathan Marquardt these days currently in the UFC.
And recently challenged for the UFC middleweight title. Kunioku forcing the clinch. Marquardt turning the tables around and putting Kunioku's back into the ropes. Kunioku, though, with the double underhook, an advantageous position to get the takedown. But Marquardt dropping his hips and putting his weight down on Kunioku's arms, trying to take away that advantage as we skip forward in the fight.
And now Kunioku has Marquardt pinned near the corner, and Marquardt turns him right around.
And Marquardt seems to be the more physically powerful fighter of the two, locking up a nice body lock against Kunioku. A failed lateral drop, though, by Marquardt puts Kunioku on top and inside Marquardt's guard.
As this fight goes to the ground, is there one particular fighter who has the advantage on the ground?
Both are very, very well-rounded fighters and incredibly skilled at the ground game and the standing game. So they're very evenly matched, I actually feel.
Kunioku in the full guard.
Chipping away with some hooks and hammer punches is Kunioku.
Marquardt trying to avoid those blows to the face, and what does he have to do to get out of this position, Josh?
Yeah, Marquardt trying to establish some control on the wrist and head there of Kunioku, maybe to look for the armbar or the triangle choke. Right now, Marquardt sort of biding his time. Those punches aren't doing a lot of damage, but he can't disregard them completely, as one of them may cause a cut, which could end the fight.
As we move ahead in the fight.
Missed middle kick, blocked middle kick by Marquardt. Middle kick again by Marquardt, low kick.
And Kunioku, both fighters in a clinch now. Kunioku came in on Marquardt, unable to get the takedown.
Marquardt again looking to keep Kunioku against the ropes. Kunioku now with Marquardt against the ropes. Spinning around are the fighters in the clinch. Marquardt using the ropes there as a little bit of a helper, but
the referee didn't see it.
Hey,
so
the referee didn't see
okay.
it, didn't happen. So back in the over-under is Marquardt and Kunioku. Marquardt's head dangerously low. Kunioku might look to fire up a right knee to the face there from the side.
Both fighters still in the corner. The referee not likely to break this up anytime soon.
It's likely Marquardt's corner is telling him to keep Kunioku there, put his size on him, keep his weight up against him, and try to wear him out as he gets the takedown into half guard. Marquardt now looking to work from the top against Kunioku.
And Kunioku, not one of the bigger fighters in Pancrase, stands at just 5'8".
I believe Marquardt would have the height advantage in this fight and reach as well.
And Kunioku's head out of the ring, so the referee is going to make sure he gets back in.
Right, now in Pancrase, instead of stopping the fights for being close to the ropes or for rope escapes, which they do not use at this point in time, what they'll do is they say stop, don't move, and then the referees will attempt to move you from the position you stopped in and then restart the fight.
So since there's no more rope escapes, how much more cautious do these fighters have to be, Josh? Because you can't just grab the rope and get a second or third or even a fourth chance.
Well, that's certainly something that they have to keep in mind. The other thing about it is that the fight becomes a little more static because with the rope escapes, bam, a guy hits a rope escape if he doesn't want to be on the ground anymore, if he's in danger of being submitted. Fight starts up back over again, and now it's almost like starting from scratch. Whereas under these sets of rules, you end up on bottom, and this fighter on top might grind away for an entire round and seal that round and not really allow you to have much offense. And whereas before you would have had much more opportunities to try and come back.
Chalmers still on top of Kunioku. Chalmers? What am I talking? It's Marquardt.
Wow, I think we have a Chris Chalmers fan. One fight in Pancrase, and he's really bowled you over here.
I didn't get my coffee in this morning, Josh. I'm sorry.
Well, no harm, no foul, as Marquardt still working patiently from the top position, looking to pass the guard as Marquardt by securing that underhook in the head. Kunioku working the butterfly guard with both hooks inside the inside of the thigh of Marquardt. Now one in, one out. Still likely Kunioku looking to get a sweep or reversal.
And if you're Nathan Marquardt, do you consider grounding and pounding in this position?
Oh, of course. If I'm Nathan Marquardt, I'm firing punches. And now back on the feet, big knee by Marquardt against Kunioku. High kick by Marquardt, blocked by Kunioku as Kunioku drives forward.
Both fighters now in the clinch, nearing the ropes once again.
Marquardt with the double underhooks. He's in great position to finish the takedown, again with the body lock.
But his hands are interlocked through the ropes, but the referees made sure he let go of that.
Yeah, that actually can be a pain in the butt. As you're trying to take your opponent down and you're trying to suck up the body lock, and yet that rope is in the way and giving resistance and not allowing you to have the freedom of movement that is necessary to finish the takedown. So Marquardt now happens to have the ring spacer in the way there. Back to the body lock. Still controlling is Marquardt. Kunioku looking to try and pummel one arm inside, maybe to get out of there.
And Marquardt looks like he gets the takedown, but it is Kunioku that ends up on top.
Yeah, Marquardt again not quite properly setting up the lateral drop throw there and paying for it by Kunioku now taking the top position and firing away with some short hammer fists and keeping that forearm against Marquardt's throat. Some body punches by Kunioku. Kunioku looking to take advantage of the opportunity to be on top.
Kunioku in the full guard.
More short punches from Kunioku. Seems like Kunioku's strategy here is to stay tight to Marquardt and continue to chip away at the body and the head and control this top position.
And
Marquardt,
the momentum swinging a little bit in Kunioku's favor right now.
I agree. Punching away from top is Kunioku. Not much time left in this match. Marquardt climbing his legs up, maybe hoping to get a high guard position and work for an arm of some sort. But having no luck as Kunioku continues to stay tight and forward inside Marquardt's guard, not giving him any space and chipping away with those punches.
And Marquardt trying to keep Kunioku's head closer to his body, and now the fighters separate, and Kunioku throwing leg kicks at Marquardt, who is down on his back.
Drop it. Nice attempt for the toe hold by Kunioku, but unsuccessful.
And Marquardt gets out, and now it is Kunioku on his back. And Marquardt jumping in with a stomp.
Kunioku looking to lock the leg. Marquardt knowing he has no time left.
And this fight is over. This will go to the judges. The judges will decide who will become the next middleweight champion in Pancrase.
Way to pick it up by Marquardt at the end there. Nice attempt for the submission by Kunioku when it looked like he was in a cushy position to ride out the rest of the fight.
And do you think that last rush by Marquardt was enough for him to get the decision from the judges?
Well, it's hard to say. He did have a lot of control in certain aspects of this fight, and that kind of aggression and energy put forth to taking his opponent out, it's going to make it difficult to say one way or the other who won. One judge for Kunioku.
And Kunioku is the judge's decision. He wins the middleweight title of Pancrase as this match goes the distance. And Josh, do you agree with the judge's decision?
I could see that, and I can completely agree with that decision for a lot of the ground control by Kunioku from on top and chipping away with the punches, and that last toe hold attempt. I suppose one might argue that it wasn't quite that deep, but I think it was deep enough that it could have been a finish on in certain aspects against other fighters, and Marquardt had to react to it, so that means in my book that's a successful attempt at least. But Marquardt really more of a bad strategy than being clearly defeated.
All right. Now our next fight, we're going to see Yoshiki Takahashi against Katsuhisa Fuji. And Josh, these new rules, Yoshiki Takahashi has to be thrilled with them.
Yeah, Yoshiki Takahashi, the wild man of Pancrase, is actually going to be incredibly ecstatic about the opportunity to hit a guy with a closed fist. We've seen his shotes knock down guys like Scott Bizak before, and prior to this match, Takahashi has been spending the last couple of years training diligently in the boxing gyms around Tokyo. Now that he gets to throw those gloves on, he's looking to deal some serious damage.
And let's see how Takahashi deals with those new rules.
Katsuhisa Fuji versus Yoshiki Takahashi.
And Takahashi, plenty of ring experience, 23 wins, 15 losses, 3 draws, and Fuji. We just said Takahashi has 23 wins. Fuji doesn't even have 23 fights. He's only fought 12 times. And Josh, a lot on the line here.
Yeah, this is the match, the final match in a tournament to determine the first heavyweight king of Pancrase, as now Pancrase has elected to adopt weight classes, unlike previously where there was no weight classes and a completely open weight system.
And who is currently the open weight champion of Pancrase?
That would be moi.
Oh. As we get ready to start this fight, Takahashi loves to strike and also is a character in a manga.
Yeah, the manga name is called Tough, as you can see on his right leg. Leading with the right hook is Takahashi.
And Takahashi just following Fuji around on the prowl, knees to the face.
Pouring it on is Takahashi, looking to lock up that front choke.
And Fuji he's out of the ring, and Takahashi's still throwing blows. He definitely does not like to follow the rules.
There is no safe place for Fuji at this point, as even out of the ring is going to end up in Takahashi following you out and dealing damage. Fuji reeling from those punches.
As he gets back in the ring, Takahashi trying to pick up from where he left off and throwing punches to the face of Fuji, who is now down on the mat.
Just laying it in as Takahashi scoring with that front headlock there, looking to get another choke against Fuji.
Takahashi just threw him out of the ring, Josh. This isn't legal.
Takahashi just taking out the trash, I guess, as sorts by just the way he's throwing him through the ropes.
Fuji back in, but Takahashi backing him towards the rope.
Measuring up is Takahashi with that right hand. Big hook, missing. Fuji really in a bad spot right now.
As he goes down again, but Takahashi throws him back up, wanting to strike him.
Takahashi owning the center of the ring as Fuji fearful of the strikes of Takahashi. Jab, uppercut.
And in trouble, and Fuji goes down, and this ref calls it. This fight is over. Takahashi wins. He is the heavyweight king, and Fuji just totally dominated Josh from beginning to end.
Well, if Fuji was Takahashi, you would be correct.
Fuji dominated by Takahashi from beginning to end.
And that, yes, absolutely correct. Fuji had no offense whatsoever, was ragdolled the entire match, completely one-sided victory, and Takahashi bringing the heat with those gloves.
And before we go to our highlight of the day, Yoshiki Takahashi, a wild character. I'd hate to be his teacher in grade school. If he was in our class, by the end of the class, half the kids would have been stabbed by scissors. He would have force-fed other kids crayons.
Probably would have drawn a lot of lewd pictures and mainly, various items have been arranged into little sigils or skulls or who knows. This guy is certainly a crazy one.
All right, now let's check out our highlight of the day. And it comes from the match we just saw. Yoshiki Takahashi just pushing Fuji around in this ring and even pushing him out of the ring at one point.
Yeah, lining him up with that jab, and as Fuji ducks in for the takedown, Takahashi meets him with a big left uppercut here. Bam! Putting Fuji down and out and letting Fuji know, hey, I own this ring.
And the referee says that's it, and Yoshiki Takahashi takes the title. And Josh, what was he feeling at that point? You should know. You're the current king of Pancrase.
Well, I can't say exactly what he was feeling, but being that we're a little different guys, I'm sure he was thinking bloodlust by the look of it.
Really? You're not as wild as Yoshiki Takahashi?
I'm actually, I've been called psychotic actually, but completely different, a little different, more maybe subtle, I suppose.
All right, and that does it for this week's episode of Pancrase, Legends of Mixed Martial Arts. I'm Rob Wood.
Josh Barnett.
Join us next week.